This is Apple Calendar. It's one of the best time management tools that you already have access to for free, but most people aren't using it to its full potential. The way people use it often ends up creating this feeling of being overwhelmed or constantly behind schedule, rather than helping them feel like they're actually in control of their time. In this video, I'll show you how to use Apple Calendar to manage your time in a way that helps you build real time management skills so you can start properly allocating your time towards the things that matter to you most. Let's dive into it. All right, so I've got a fresh Apple Calendar set up here, and the typical way that people start using a digital calendar is just as a meeting or appointment scheduler. So you might see things like you've got a team meeting here at 9, and then maybe we've got a dentist appointment here at 11, and then I don't know, you got car maintenance here at 2 p.m. on Friday. And so you've got a bunch of different appointments on your calendar like this. And this way of using it works quite well. Of course, there's all the great features in digital calendars, like adding locations or meeting links to Zoom or Google Meet. You can obviously change the timing. You can set it to repeat on certain days of the month. You can invite people directly from here, add notes, URLs, attachments, things like that. And this can work well because most of the time when you have a meeting or an appointment, it is a fixed commitment, something that you scheduled, in this case with a dentist, or you've got your team or maybe your manager at work. Oftentimes it involves other people. So you're really committed to doing this thing. Like, you're not going to just blow it off. And so when you see that event on your calendar, you have trust in yourself and your calendar that you're actually going to be spending your time doing that thing at that time. And then from here, where people often go is they start to fill in kind of their ideal week with how they want to spend their time outside of these, fixed commitments in meetings. So what this might look like is maybe you want to start waking up at 6 and you do a morning routine. And then you have this repeat every weekday. Like that. Maybe you're saying, okay, I want to start the day by doing some deep work first thing in the morning because Miles talked about the importance of that in his other videos. And I'm going to do that, every weekday, where I'm going to work on, the highest impact thing that I can do for my life and my career or whatever. And maybe you're thinking, okay, I want to also take care of my health and get into better shape because I know that will help my energy and focus. And so every day of the week, or every weekday, we're going to go to the gym at 5 p.m. until 5:45. We're going to have this repeat. And then we're also going to, have dinner right after that from 6 to 7, like this. And, this is my ideal week, how I would like to spend my time. And so you might block out a few recurring events that you want to do every day, but then when you're planning for a particular day, you might add in some of the specific tasks. So maybe after this team meeting, you want to finish preparing presentation. And so you block out your entire day like this, all the tasks you're going to do, and maybe you do it for the entire week as well. And you go to sleep feeling good, excited to just have a productive week and just get everything done. And this can work really well if you have super strong time management skills. You know exactly how long things will take. You have firm control over your time. You don't have, many interruptions. You don't get distracted, and your motivation and energy is constant throughout the day. And, everything will just always go to plan for you. But as you probably know, that's not the case for most people. I know that's not the case for me most of the time. And so you'll start the day like this, and it might go okay, but then things start to take a little longer. Maybe this meeting goes a little longer than expected, and then you start this late. Then all of a sudden, you're getting tired because you had all these meetings, and then you take longer there, and then you eat lunch, and then you eat a bunch of carbs for lunch, and so you have a big crash. And then all of a sudden you're playing this game of catch up, where it's okay, well, now all these things I need to do, I planned for today, but now I don't have time. I don't feel like it. And you're just all stressed out. You're overwhelmed. You feel like you suck at time management and you have no discipline. And the whole act of using a calendar becomes this new source of stress rather than the practical tool that it was intended to be to help you, feel more in control of your time. And so you might get to the point where besides those like fixed appointments and meetings that, involve another person and you're like really committed to, like going to the dentist or whatever, anything else you add on here just becomes like a wish list for how you want to spend your time. So you might tell yourself, okay, tomorrow I want to finally, apply to new jobs, or and then after that I want to brainstorm a business plan, and because you want to start a business and change your whole life and things. But the problem with these types of activities is that they're kind of optional. Like, it's not involving another person. There's no social pressure. It's not really like this super time sensitive thing. It's kind of up to you whether or not you do it. And you're kind of just, wishing and hoping that you spend your time this way. And so this approach, if you don't have the best time management skills, can really just become frustrating and cause you to just throw in the towel and ignore your calendar altogether, because you know that nothing is going to go to plan. You're going to have to keep moving these things around, and you're just always going to feel overwhelmed and behind. Now, just to clarify, this approach where we're sort of time blocking out our day in advance isn't inherently wrong. It's actually what we ideally want to be able to do, where everything we put on our calendar is treated with, the same level of trust and seriousness as any sort of timed appointment or like a meeting with our boss, in the sense that if it's on our calendar, we're actually going to be doing it. So for example, if on Thursday we say, okay, from 9 to 11 a.m., we're going to finish X task. When Thursday comes at 9 a.m., we're actually going to be doing that thing. But if you don't have the best time management skills yet, blocking out your entire week like this and actually sticking to your plan is a lot easier said than done. But thankfully, there's a slightly different approach that we can take to using our calendar, which will help us actually build up those time management skills so we can get to that point where anything that we put on our calendar is actually going to reflect how we spend our time, like 99% of the time at least. But before we get into that, if you like the idea of using simple tools like Apple Calendar to organize your life and manage your time, I'm building a program called Purposeful Productivity. It's a complete system for managing your time, attention, and energy so you actually make consistent progress on the things that matter to you. Click the link in the description to join the waitlist and get early access when it launches. All right, so if you want to use Apple Calendar to actually get better at time management and feel more in control of where your time is going, the approach I would recommend taking is to match your calendar to your reality. So what do I mean by that exactly? Well, what I would do is, for now, delete all these sort of wish list blocks, as you might call them. So these blocks that you created that aren't, timed commitments or meetings, but, more things that you want to do, ways that you want to spend your time throughout the week. So we can just get rid of all of these for now and keep just these meetings that we made as examples here. And so the first thing I recommend people do if they want to take more control of their time is to actually track where their time is going for a week or two. And there's a bunch of tools out there that can do this, various apps that I've talked about. But one of the best ways to do this is actually to just use your calendar to measure where your time is going. So now that we've got a blank calendar besides these meetings and appointments, we can click this button here to open up different calendars within our overall kind of calendar account. And so if you don't have multiple ones here, you can press File, New Calendar, just click on your account, and then you can make a new calendar like this, and you can call it, whatever name you want. And then if you right click, you can change the color. You can customize the color with different hex codes if you want to get all cute and color coded, but you don't necessarily need to do all that. But basically, I would set up different calendars that correspond with different ways that you spend your time. Now, this is a very individual thing. I've made kind of some general categories for this example, but this will highly depend on the nature of your life, your commitments, obligations, career, work, all of those things. For example, I just have a generic work calendar category here. Maybe you have a job and a business, or multiple jobs, or different aspects within your job that are kind of separate. So it would make sense to separate that out into different calendars. But whatever you need to do to create categories for different ways that you typically spend your time. So as I said, I've got work here, meetings. So this will be like timed events. So all of these, for example, we can actually change to this meetings calendar, or sub calendar, I should say. Health and fitness. So I like to put, when I'm going to go to the gym and things like that, because I need to actively make time for that. Otherwise, I probably won't end up doing it. Social. So any activities with friends, family, partner, leisure activities. This can maybe be more like solo leisure activities. So if you're just kind of chilling out, hanging out, unwinding at the end of the day. Life admin. I'm thinking this would be something just general maintenance tasks for your life. So this is like cooking, cleaning, doing the laundry, things that are part of your daily life that you just kind of have to do to keep the engine running, but aren't really needle moving things, but they are absolutely necessary. I put a calendar here just for learning activities. So this is like maybe personal projects, skill development, anything that you're trying to practice to level up your skills in your career or business or something. And time wasted. So this will be a calendar that we use for tracking time, where it's, we're honest with ourselves. We just kind of wasted it. We scrolled on Instagram for 2 hours or watched a bunch of random YouTube videos that we didn't need to watch, that type of thing. So figure out whatever categories make the most sense for you. And then basically we just go throughout our week, and periodically, you don't have to do this in real time, maybe at the end of the day or maybe once during lunch, so you don't forget. We're going to create a block for how we actually spent our time. So for example, today, I think I woke up at like 8 a.m. or something. I kind of slept in and I did like a little morning routine, went outside. We can put this health and fitness. And then I made breakfast a little leisurely on Sunday. Cook breakfast. We can put this under life admin. And then I was like updating, what was I doing this morning? Like updating my finance tracker and doing like finance review. That's, I guess, more life admin as well, to be honest. And then I think I read for a little bit, read book. Here, had lunch. Like that. And so today's a bunch of admin stuff so far. Here I planned out videos for YouTube. And then I went on a little walk as well, just to get some fresh air and get my steps in, since I usually don't go to the gym on Sundays. I do more leisurely things like walking or hiking. And then I started recording this video. And so you don't have to do this in real time like I'm kind of doing right now. I would at least just at the end of the day, add in what you actually spent your time doing. Maybe if you have a little time during lunch or something, you could log what you did that morning just so you don't forget. And so the key with this is that you are 100% honest with yourself as to how you spend your time. So if lunch ended up going a little longer, you put that on your calendar. If you ended up just having breakfast and then scrolling on your phone for a while, you put that in time wasted, and you have your calendar actually reflect how you spent your time. And as you do this more, certain patterns will start to emerge. You'll realize how long things are actually taking. You realize what times of day you might get tired or distracted, and what times of day are best for doing more intensive activities or working out or anything really. And I would still keep those fixed meetings or appointments on our calendar, because those are time sensitive things that we don't want to miss. But besides that, I would just start with the blank slate and fill in how you're actually spending your time, and just do your best to spend it on the things that are important to you. And so as you build up your time management skills and your intuition for how long things take or what the optimal time is for you to do certain activities, then you can start to add in some sort of plan blocks in advance. So then you can be like, okay, Tuesday, 7 to 9, I'm going to apply to new jobs. And this is, I don't know what you would categorize this actually. Life admin? Maybe put it in learning and like skill career development category. And then you know that, okay, you're treating this now as like an actual timed event. You've built that trust, you've built that discipline with following your calendar, and this is actually going to get done when you put it on here. Now you may look at this and it does look a little tedious, all this sort of time tracking stuff, managing your time. You know, let's take a step back here. Why is this all important? Why should we try to improve the skill of time management? Well, I believe that if you have any sort of goal in your life, some aspect of your life or your career that you want to improve, or your financial situation or your relationships, your health, anything like that, whether or not you achieve those goals or make progress in those areas is a direct result of how much time you allocated to those areas. So for example, let's take a common goal of making more money, financial freedom, increasing your income, whatever it is, your salary and your job. How much money you're making is really just going to be a direct reflection of how much time you've allocated towards things that will help you make more money. It sounds simple, and obviously there's a lot of different things you could do. You could go to school to get a degree in a certain field that will help you land a job. You could learn a bunch of new skills on your own and then apply them to starting some sort of side hustle or a business that'll help you make money or get a promotion at your job. There's loads of different things that we can do, but probably all of those are in some way using our time to level up in this area of finance or making more money. And so if you're unsatisfied with your income or your job situation, but when you look at your calendar where you've measured all the ways that you've spent your time throughout the week, and there's not much allocated towards directly leveling up in your career or increasing your income, then it's not going to just happen magically. You know, everything has a cause and effect, and your input, the cause in this case, is how you spend your time. It sounds obvious, but unless you have the actual data for where your time is going, your mind's going to just kind of play tricks on you. You're not going to be able to think about all this stuff in your head and have an accurate representation of what you're spending your time on. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the day-to-day planning process. How do we figure out what we're going to do on a particular day? Because right now we're measuring where our time is going on an individual day, and we've blocked out timed meetings and appointments in advance. Well, you might be thinking, okay, well, how do we know what to actually do tomorrow? Well, this is where my daily planning process comes in. So first I'll glance at my calendar to see if there are any time-sensitive meetings or appointments, and then I'll block out on paper the individual specific tasks that I'm going to do throughout the day and at what time. And my reasoning for doing this on paper in my notebook is because it allows me to focus in on just executing my plan for that specific day. I don't get overwhelmed with, the entire week or everything else on my calendar. It also gets me away from the digital realm for a little bit. And doing this on paper allows me to make way quicker real-time adjustments throughout the day. But I made an entire video going through my 10-minute daily planning process that you can watch right here. It's completely changed how effectively I take action and execute my plans each day. Go click that video. As always, do something today that your future self would thank you for.